When I was a small child growing up in northern Colombia, my grandmother introduced me to Disney films. What I did not know at that time was that while every kid has watched The Lion King, Peter Pan, Toy Story, a kid cannot take into consideration the unconscious beliefs that are carried out in his mind when he watches the film. Ask yourself, how much of who you think you are is based on what you have learned?
Teach 'em, pale-faced brother, all about Red Man.
Good. This should be most enlightening.
When we think about Disney, we think about magic, we think about fun, we think about good movies. Walt Disney is a pretty old company. It was created on the 16th of October 1923. They made so many movies, but without even doing some research. It led place to stereotypes, racism, and I have to mention that Disney's targeted audience is kids, sometimes some adults. Yeah, so children watch these movies and they interpret that as being reality. As a matter of fact, it is not.
This woman gets portrayed as a sexist. Another example of negative generalization. The tribe is falsely identified as the Blackfeet people. This assumption is not made in regard of any aspect of their culture, but instead they make up the name because they find that their imprints are quite dark.
Right from the headland, the real true story of the Red Man, no matter what's been written or said.
Now you know why the Red Man's red.
They made some sign language that meant nothing. The characters were designed to look very red. The way they walked, the way their nose were made, their hair, they just did an awful job representing them. The chief of the nation also had some devil horns. They tried to represent them as the devil, as evil people. As a kid, you know, this song could be joyful, could sound very fun, but as an adult, when you hear the lyrics, it's awful and it's racist. That's the problem with Peter Pan. Some people say that since the movie was made in 1950, everything was racist back then. But it's not about white people, it's about First Nations people. And they weren't happy about it, so they made some complaints to Disney. And Disney, well, took action by putting a disclaimer at the beginning of the movie on Disney Plus. Could be highly offensive to them and could cause so much harm. People that are not part of the First Nations people that don't know much about them, could be misinformed, or it could have so many repercussions on them.
Indigenous culture has thousands of years of sanctioned techniques under its belt. We have the technological power, the engineering skills to save our planet, to cure disease, to feed the hungry, to end the war, but we lack the intellectual vision, the ability to change our minds and free ourselves.
One way to do it better next time would be to talk to First Nations, just to get more information with their consent and with some viable sources, or just hire some First Nations to do the movie, just do all the movie, because it's gonna be them that's gonna make it, and they're gonna know what to do with it. I think the movie is great to learn about mistakes from the past, and to just not do it again. If we show this to children and make sure they know it's wrong, this is gonna be 100 times better than if we just erase it and not talk about it.
Television is the most insidious drug that has made its way to the 20th century. It is by nature the dominated drug. A tool for people to coerce, to brainwash, and to manipulate the innocent. The drama of a dying world has been turned into a soap opera for most people. They do not understand that it is their story too. We are caged by our cultural programming. Culture is a mass hallucination. And when you step outside the mass hallucination, you see it for what it's worth.